Alright, after my long hiatus from the channel, I am back with a late, but I'm still doing it, my top 10 films of 2024. This year of movies was, I would say, more disappointing than exciting, but there were still a good amount of films that came out this year. So let's dive on in and talk about my personal top 10 of the year. Alright, 2024, the year of film, was more disappointing than I would have liked. I think a lot of that is due to the fact that some films were pushed into 2025 and 2026 because of the strike. But there were still some good ones, but overall, I was more disappointed with the films that came out this year. But I'm doing a top 10, which means I at least have 10 that I really did like, and there are some that I had to leave off that I really did enjoy, and we're going to get into those now with my honorable mentions. And starting off my honorable mentions, I have Transformers 1, a beautifully animated movie, my favorite Transformers movie. I love the relationship that we see between Optimus Prime and Megatron before they were called that. Starting out, coming from the bottom to the top, I think it was fantastic, and I loved it. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, really well done. Chris Hemsworth, Anya Taylor-Joy, great performances. I just didn't love all of the action scenes, as I feel like the CGI was a little overdoing it, and the look of it didn't always work for me, and it took me out of the movie. But overall, I really did enjoy that film. Next up on the list, we have Inside Out 2, a great animated movie. I actually prefer this one over the original, but I really did feel the emotions here, and the anxiety character and storyline connected a lot with me, and so that's why Inside Out 2 is on here. And the last film I'll shout out is Challengers, a great love dynamic between Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and Mike Feist, all surrounding the game of tennis. Beautifully shot and directed by Luca Guadagnino. Of course, the love story works because he knows perfectly how to show love on screen. That's his strong suit. But yeah, overall, a great film, and I love that ending. It always doesn't work for me when the film ends like that, but for this one, I think it fit perfectly. All right, with all that being said, we're now getting into my top 10 list of the year. Let me know yours down in the comments below. This is my personal list. They're not the best made movies of the year. They're not the best reviewed movies of the year. They're just my personal favorites. With that being said, my number 10 film of 2024 is Conclave. This film is directed by Edward Berger. It is going to be an awards contender this upcoming season, and I loved this political thriller drama of choosing a new pope. It doesn't sound exciting, but it is, and a lot of that is because of Ralph Fiennes' incredible performance here. The way that this film was written, the screenplay is very, very strong. The dialogue keeps you on your toes throughout the movie, guessing what's going to happen. The supporting cast of Stanley Tucci and John Lithgow are incredible here as well. And the twist at the end is why it doesn't work for some people, but it worked for me because I did not see that coming, and I love when that happens in film. All right. Coming in at number 9, I have Deadpool and Wolverine. This was my most anticipated film of 2023, and while I was very excited about it in the theater, and it was my favorite film of the year, and I couldn't believe it, 2 rewatches later made me realize the story wasn't really there. And I did say that in my review, I believe. I wanted more from it on a story level than we actually got. It was really plot hole oriented. And it was just jokes throughout, which is fine, but that can't create a movie. The dynamic between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds is fantastic, though, and that comedy really does work, which is why it is still in my top 10 of the year, but I just can't put it any higher because of the story issues I have with it. But at the end of the day, you're going into Deadpool and Wolverine because of that buddy cop comedy between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds, and it delivers on that. Coming in at number 8, I have The Apprentice, which is definitely one of the most controversial and divisive films of the year, and that is just because of the subject matter surrounding Donald Trump and his upcoming into the world of real estate in New York. I think Sebastian Stan played Donald Trump brilliantly. He should be getting more awards consideration for both this and A Different Man, which I actually haven't yet seen, but I've just heard great things about. But him in here as in The Apprentice as Trump is fantastic because you see his growth throughout this movie, and you see that growth because of Roy Cohn, who is played brilliantly by Jeremy Strong as well, who also should be in the awards consideration. But, you're going to have people who love or hate this film just because of the subject matter, but if you take that away, it's a well-made film with brilliant performances, especially the end scene, and that's where all the build-up goes when you see this man who at the beginning of this film had some compassion, but for what Roy Cohn really poured into him, you see that compassion completely go away at the end of this movie, and Sebastian Stan plays that beautifully. Coming in at number 7, we have Longlegs. I love this movie, and it scares the hell out of me. Nicolas Cage gives one of the best performances as well of the year as Longlegs. Scared me, gave me nightmares. I did not see where this film was going. It is a great horror thriller, and I love those. Some of my favorite movies are those, and it works so well as crime too, because the main character Lee is a detective solving this criminal case of murders. Now, where they went with it in the end, I didn't love, but I love the first 2 halves of the movie so much that it made it high up on this list, and if I were to give it a rewatch, I could see it even climb higher. Coming in at number 6, I have Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I love these movies. This is the first film directed by Wes Ball. I love the first 2 that are done by Matt Reeves. Didn't love War so much, but this one here, obviously, it looks beautiful, but I love the story. Owen, I believe, is the main character here, the main ape, and I think he did a fantastic job. I love this tribe that, apes are kind of factioned into now. It is a world of all apes. We don't really see much of the human, which is great because this is the movie where we actually see the most from just the ape side, which I love. But I'm very excited for how this film ended and setting up the next one, which I hope comes soon, because I love to see this world evolve. And I love how Caesar is kind of lost on the apes now, and it's up to some of the few apes left to still bring Caesar's messaging into the world that is now owned by apes. Coming in at number 5 is a Netflix film that I did not know about 2 weeks before it released, and that is Carryon. This film kind of swept across social media, but I love this movie. I know it's not the best well-made film. I know there's plot holes that really help the characters, but I still had a great time with it. It's a great thriller, and I love Jason Bateman in here. I love Taron Egerton, and it just kept me on the edge of my seat, really wanting more and guessing where it was going the entire time. And it's a great experience, and what more can I ask for a film than a great experience? All right, coming in at number 4 was my second most anticipated film of the year, and I loved it, and it's Wicked. I love this movie. The musical is great, and the music in here, sung by Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, it's just beautiful. It's brilliant. I love these 2 women in this movie. I personally love The Wizard of Oz. It's one of my favorite films of all time. And so when I see any film try to, adapt from it or take from it in any way, I'm very critical and protective of it. But this film was great. And, it's not really connected to The Wizard of Oz, but it does have some similar themes in here. And I cannot wait to see where part 2 goes and how John M. Chu really brings it home. I think he did a phenomenal job with this movie. And it's just beautiful. It really is. All right, coming in at number 3, I have Juror number 2. And for some reason, Warner Brothers loves to make sure that this film doesn't really exist out in theaters, only releasing it to 50 nationwide. I had to watch it on Max, but I loved it. Clint Eastwood still has got it at 93 or 94. I don't know how he does it. But I was on the edge of my seat with this one. Nicholas Hoult, great in this courtroom drama. J.K. Simmons, Toni Collette, I love. And Toni Collette and Nicholas Hoult, their dynamic throughout the film, especially towards the end as it grows to a conclusion, it keeps you guessing, and it really does. And the ending it's not conclusive, but Clint Eastwood was brilliant, and he kind of leaves it up to the audience interpretation, and I love that. Coming in at number 2 is Twisters, because if you feel it, you chase it. And I love Glenn Powell, and this movie just solidifies my love for him. I think he's brilliant. And this movie is just a fun blockbuster film that came out in the summer. I didn't know what to expect, but I had one of the best theater experiences of the year in watching Twisters. It's a great little action, disaster kind of movie, and it's just up my alley to fill my mouth with popcorn and enjoy. And I hope they make a third one because man, these films are fun, and it's not the best made movie, but it's one of my favorites of the year. It's number 2, and I can't believe Lee Isaac Chung directed this, coming from Minari. But hey, I mean, I think he did a phenomenal job. So let's see where part 3 here, or Twisters 3, takes us. It'd be great. And my number 1 favorite film of the year is no surprise. I think it's a lot of people's number 1 of the year, and that is Dune Part 2. For some reason, it's getting forgotten come Oscar time, but I think it's brilliant on all accounts. You know, I didn't give a film this year any 5-star. It's hard for a film to get a perfect score for me, but this one got a 4.5. I just think it's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. The look, Greg Fraser, the cinematography in here is one of the best looking films I have ever seen. And it's also one of the best acted films of this year as well, with an amazing ensemble. Timothée Chalamet really does come into his own here when he goes into the council scene. It's one of the best scenes of the year, and it's his most powerful acting performance I have ever seen him in. With that being in mind, I've not seen A Complete Unknown, which I think he's going to get nominated for an Oscar for this year, but Dune is just something else. I think this film made me appreciate Part 1 more, and I think putting these two films together, Denis Villeneuve is a genius who should be winning all the awards this year. So should this movie. I don't know why it's not, but I mean, what's not left to say about Dune that hasn't already been said? I mean, it's just brilliant on all accounts, and that's why it's my favorite film of 2024. All right, with that being said, guys, those are my top 10 and some honorable mentions of 2024. Like I said, it wasn't the best year for film, but there are some good nuggets in here, and I want to know yours down below in the comments, so let me know what you thought of the year. And I'm going to be posting more on the channel here come Oscar time. I got to put my predictions up. I'm going to put some anticipated movies that I have for 2025 up as well. So please keep your eye out on the channel for that. All right, that will do it for me. Hope you guys had a great 2024, and here's to a great 2025. I'll see you later.